Hey, it's Tim with the University of Vinyl. You know, with this impending move that I'm in the middle of, I realize I'm not going to be able to do any kind of end-of-year wrap-up videos as far as, you know, my top 10 finds out in the wild and stuff like that. I have been frantically packing up the collection over the last few weeks in anticipation of this move that's going to be happening in about a week. So what I have been doing though is kind of reassessing and picking up some records I haven't played in years and giving them a spin. And what I've landed on for today's video, I want to kind of do a reassessment of a couple of commercial flops that you can find out in dollar bins all over the United States of America for probably under $5 for each of these records. One is You Bought It, You Name It, the 1983 album from Joe Walsh. And the second album I want to take a look at with you all is the 1978 Randy Newman album, Born Again. Both of these artists are known for a keen sense of humor. Joe Walsh is a little more forward in your face as far as his humor is concerned. And Randy is known, of course, for his more of a sardonic, dark humor and sarcasm and cynicism. Both of those types of comedy are throughout both of these albums. The kicker on this episode is both of these albums sound absolutely amazing on my system, and I'm sure they're going to sound good on yours. Or maybe you already know this, you already have these albums. But that's today, and I'm going to get into it right now. Let's start with Randy Newman's Born Again. Here is the album. First of all, you know you're in for something a little bit different. You've got a very, very comical cover. There's Randy in kind of Kiss makeup, and you can see he's kind of got the banker's lamp there, or an accounting lamp, and even a family portrait with the kids in the kind of makeup as well. This is a deeply, deeply satirical album. There are a lot of in-jokes about the music industry and kind of the life of a rock and roll excess in general. It's Money That I Love is the lead-off track. It's an amazing rocker. Waddy Wachtel is all over that, providing some incredible guitar licks. And Waddy Wachtel will factor in the Joe Walsh album as well, because he was one of the core group of players on that LP. Of course, with Randy Newman, you need to examine the lyrics, and this album is no exception, and that song, It's Money That I Love, is no exception. Let's listen to a verse here. They say that money can't buy love in the world, but I'll get you a half-pound of cocaine and a 16-year-old girl and a great big long limousine on a hot September night. Now that may not be love, but it is all right. And the lines are delivered in a delicious style that only Randy Newman can do. That gives you an idea of the satire involved in this album. I hope it's satire. There's a look at the back cover with Randy there. Now, there is a great group of songs on here. The Story of a Rock and Roll Band is basically a firmly tongue-in-cheek look at ELO. He actually names ELO in the lyrics. There is some incredible soundscapes with, you know, a swelling of synths that are coming up, just like an overwrought ELO song. The great Stephen Bishop is doing background vocals on that song and on other songs on the album to great effect. Then we have a song called Mr. Sheep. Very, very, very satirical as well. Now, if you're a dyed-in-the-wool Randy Newman fan, you're probably a purist and you like Randy just alone on piano. Don't worry, there is a great song called Ghost on this album, and it's just Randy on piano with a little bit of synthesizer as well. But a very, 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 probably the only really heartfelt song on the album. But it's a showstopper. It's the last song on side 1. Side 2, great side of music as well. Ending with a song called Pants. Pants is a real funny look at an arena rock band kind of taking the piss out of that whole situation, and he's basically ranting and raving in the song, saying he's going to take off his pants on stage. This song this album was mastered by the great Lee Hirschberg at Warner Brothers. Lee Hirschberg was responsible for mastering some of the great Frank Sinatra albums, all those run of albums in the 1960s. And it's cut hot. It sounds amazing. Really nice soundstage. And some excellent playing, from Randy, and then other players like I previously mentioned, Waddy Wachtel. Andy Newmark is on drums on many of these songs. The great Tony Scott is on saxophone from the LA Express. He's all over that first track, It's Money, that I love. This is a highly recommended album. And the interesting thing about this is Warner Brothers had real high hopes for this because Randy was coming off of really his only hit album in his career, which was Little Criminals, with the huge kind of surprise hit Short People. So they gave Randy kind of a bigger than usual budget. They had a lot of time to work on these songs, and we got a darkly satirical album that didn't really compute for most of the buying public. Some people thought this was kind of a novelty album. I think over time, though, it's gotten a little bit better reputation. The playing on here is amazing. The humor is very funny. And if you kind of know what it is, a piss take on the music industry, then there you have it. So highly recommended album. Again, it sounds fantastic. That is 1978, Born Again, Randy Newman. By the time we got to 1983, it seemed like Joe Walsh and his management and his producer, longtime producer, Bill Smizek, were chasing the success from the 1978 Killer album. But seriously, folks, that was, of course, the hit album that had Life's Been Good, other great songs like Over and Over and Indian Summer. So the 1983 album that came out was called You Bought It, You Name It. As always, Joe Walsh, there is humor involved, as previously mentioned. The cover is no exception. That's a kind of a historical shot of the U.S. Midway under fire in World War II, and we've got Joe kind of photoshopped on the cover. There's also behind him a guy in a spacesuit reading a newspaper, and then if we look at the back cover, and actually we've got Joe in that spacesuit. So funny stuff, even with the cover. Now, Joe wanted to record this album out of the norm, not in a typical studio setting. So they decided on the Grand Ballroom at the casino at Catalina Island off the coast of Los Angeles. And Walsh had assembled a core group of himself on lead guitar Waddy Wachtel on rhythm, and in some cases lead as well. Waddy also did some slide, as well as Joe doing slide, one of the better slide guitar players out there. Joe Vitale is on drums, from longtime friend of Joe Walsh's all the way back to Barnstorm years. George Chocolate Perry was the bass player on most of these songs. And first of all, from the lead track, this was an interesting album. It started off with a song called I Can Play That Rock and Roll. And similarly to Randy Newman, you need to pay attention to the lyrics in any Joe Walsh song. And I Can Play That Rock and Roll is talking about the latest trends. Here we are in 1983. So we've seen the whole punk movement. We've seen new wave coming in, the Clash, etc. And I think Joe Walsh was kind of referencing that, but saying, hey, I can just play that rock and roll. And he proves it on that song. It's a crunchy rock tune, sounding like something from, you know, the Rolling Stones in 1973. Waddy Wachtel is providing some incredible riffage as well. And it's just a great, great, great rock song. And then the lead up to that song, and then the second song is called Told You So. And for this, he brings in former Eagle bandmate Don Felder, and these guys have got an incredible guitar duel a la Hotel California that sounds absolutely amazing. Joe Vitale has got some incredible drum fills as well. So this album was off to a hot start. At that point, things kind of take a turn. Here's the thing. With any Joe Walsh album, there's going to be at least one or two standout songs that are worth the price of admission. But on some albums, they're not going to be as full as... But seriously, folks, there's going to be, you know, left-hand turns and anomalies and some weird songs as well. For this song we have, for this album, in the weird category, I'm gonna name the Worry song. The final song on side one has to be heard to be believed. It is incredibly humorous. It is a little bit off color. The name of the song, and they don't name out the song on the album as well. I'm just going to say it's ILBTs. ILBTs. Gotta listen to it. It is pure comedy. Side two, Space Age Whiz Kids. Kind of the lead single off this album did okay, and it was talking about, you know, the video game craze of the day. It's a great sounding song, heavy on the synth element, with some good tasty guitar as well. It's a catchy song. And then we've got Love Letters. Timothy B. Schmidt is singing a backup vocal on that. Theme from Island Weirdos ends this album. A very, 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 very strange instrumental. Kind of similar, you know, from, I think the end song on But Seriously Folks was Theme from Boat Weirdos. So kind of a continuation of that. Mastered at Sterling Sound by Ted Jensen. This thing sounds absolutely amazing. It can be found for $2 all over the United States of America, if that, maybe even $1. This is definitely dollar bin material, but it's a bit of a sleeper album. And that's what I'm trying to kind of showcase today, between this album and Randy Newman's 78 Born Again. Two things worth seeking out if you can find them, and I'm sure you probably will be able to find those. Maybe they're already in your collection. That's a fun look at a couple albums that, as I'm kind of packing things up here, I wanted to give another listen to. I hope to get a couple more videos out before the end of the year, And then I think the beginning of the year is going to be pretty exciting. We're going to be, I'm going to be working on assembling and reassembling my entire rig, my entire collection in the new place, in the new listening room. I've got a conference call today on some custom shelving I'm working on. So it's heady times here at the University of Vinyl. Thanks for tuning in again today, and we'll see you soon.